for me, it's constantly, I've got no time. I've got a family, young kids. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
these are all
it's
stresses that stop you, or the barriers, aren't they? That's all.
yeah, I won't and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to drop any names, but I'm working with a national body, national sporting body, let's say. So with the elite juniors, let's say that. And one of the things they struggle with is time management. Well, exactly what you said. That's why I started to laugh when you were saying, I've got no time. This so one of it is time management, helping these elite athletes, these kids, a lot of them are teenagers, early 20s, manage their time. And a lot of them don't have anything else to do except for train, but they also need to get to training on time. They get to their rehab in time, get to their recovery sessions on time, all of these things, get to meetings on time, get to all these places, and they fill it up. And then they're like, well, I still want to have a social life. So there is this element of time is a big one that I work with. And one of the first things I say to everyone that I work with, where time is a major thing that needs to be focused on, which, let's be honest, is for a lot of us, is do you want to make sacrifices or do you want to make choices in your life? It's a big difference. So I would be very happy to go and talk to any Olympic gold medalist and say to them, you've never made a sacrifice in your life. Most of them will agree with me. Some will look at me really confused and say, you have no idea what you're talking about. But what I mean by this is, and I'll be, sort of very blunt here, is no one held a gun to anyone's head to say, right, you have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and train for 8 hours every day for 4 years to go to the Olympics. They made a choice to do that. Some days it wasn't a choice. It felt like it was an obligation because there's sponsorship, there's pressure, there's all people are, people's livelihoods are rested on the backs of some athletes and teams. But bottom line, it's a choice. So as you said, can we reframe to I'm making a sacrifice, which has a negative attachment to it because it's like, well, I'm sacrificing something. That means I'm not doing something else, or that means I'm giving something away. That means you're giving something that you want or you could have. No, that's not what it is. You're choosing to spend your time in a certain way. So let's say for you, you love doing the podcast and you want to do the podcast every week. You'd love to record 3 episodes every week. And you're like, I just don't have the time. It's a fact of, okay, let's look at how you spend every minute of your day. Break it up into needs and wants. And then start from then. There's a whole other process that I go through, but that's basically it. What is a need and what is a want? And then where are you wasting time by filling it with just random stuff? And one thing I say to a lot of people is, okay, do you check social media during the day? And they're like, yeah, of course I do. I says, okay, delete it from your phone. And that people are like, what do you mean? I can't delete Instagram from my phone. I'm like, if that's not a huge source of income, and if it is a huge source of income, hire someone else to do it, right? For some of the athletes I work with, delete it off your phone, get someone to change the password so you can't go into it, and get off it. Do that for several months, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, those 20 minutes that I spent scrolling in the mornings, I can now prep for a podcast, or I can now research for my next guest, or I can now spend 20 more minutes with my child before they go to school or someone like that. So there's all these things of breaking it down to what's a need and what's a want. And then the time in between those needs and wants, where are you wasting it? And then how do we remove distractions, or how do we implement habits is a big one. There's, obviously there's plenty of scientific literature on how we create habits, and there's several steps to do that. Can we then start implementing habits to help us stick to a routine?
Yeah, I like that. It's the needs and wants. And I tell you what, I've been wrestling with my calendar and my the time in my day, for especially since the kids have come around. You're talking about those athletes, they're in their 20s and they've got to train all day. I was like, they don't know what it's like to have no time whatsoever. Wait till they've got children, then they'll find out what happened. I must have wasted so many hours in my youth. But I find you've got to, it's not necessarily finding the time, you've got to make the time. And at the moment, I'm having to train in the mornings because that's before anyone gets up. I never wanted to do this. I never wanted to be a morning person, but it's the only time I can do it. If I don't do it then, I won't do it at all. And it's yeah, that's
Making a choice, not making a sacrifice. If you want to train, okay, I'm making a choice to do it at this time. If you want to, you know, like just to go on the random example I said, if you want to do more podcasts, and okay, you've got to make a choice to do other things in the morning to then go out your daily life to then have free up time, choose to spend time in the evening to do podcasts and things like that.
What's happening, people? If you enjoyed that clip, then you can check out the full episode by clicking here. And don't forget to subscribe.